You are listening to a story on Sirio Stories, where your IQ is always respected. Enjoy the story. Within 5 years, I had captured Amy. If she had accepted my proposal on that birthday, I could have stayed in this world. But I waited until midnight. When I heard the system's voice, everything was over. Amy's first love had returned today. She had been with him all along. After such a long period of companionship, the system decided to accept one of my requests, to let me choose my own death. Well, since I had to leave anyway, I wanted to die in front of Amy, to make her kill me with her own hands and regret it for the rest of her life. There were only 5 minutes left until 12 o'clock. Today was my 25th birthday, and also the final deadline to capture. As long as Amy agreed to my proposal today, I could stay. We had clearly made plans. Balloons were hung in the room, the buttercream cake was placed on the table, and even bouquets of roses were arranged in every corner. Our mutual friends had been informed in advance, coming to the villa to celebrate. However, from noon until evening, Amy's phone was never reachable. Matt comforted me. "Kevin, don't worry, maybe she has something going on." What could possibly be going on? Clearly, not long ago, she was lying on my lap, telling me word for word, "Kevin, when will you marry me? In this lifetime, I truly only want to be your bride." I shook my head, telling my friends to leave first. According to the rules, if Amy did not return before the end of today, I would be erased by the system. I really didn't want these sincere friends to see my soul leaving my body. Perhaps the look on my face as I kept checking the clock was too pathetic. With only a few final minutes left, the system finally spoke up to remind me. "Host, don't wait anymore." I don't know why, but the cold, mechanical voice at this moment carried a hint of annoyance. "Amy won't be coming. Tom returned to the country today. She went with him, and is still at the hospital now. Tom is Amy's first love. They were childhood sweethearts, growing up together since they were young. It's just that he had a congenital heart condition, and his body was always weak. When he was in high school, his parents sent him to the US, and he rarely appeared after that." I rubbed my temples, feeling truly tired. "Has Tom's illness been cured?" "No," the system explained to me. "But a new technology has just been researched in the country, so he won't have to go abroad anymore." "Ah, that's understandable. Because the person she truly likes has returned. She doesn't need to string me along anymore." As soon as the system's voice finished, the alarm clock for 12 o'clock went off. I closed my eyes, waiting for the moment my soul would be separated. However, after nearly a minute, nothing happened. I opened my eyes, it was still the familiar room. The messy bouquet, the decorative lights. "Why am I still here?" The system replied, "I helped you submit an application. The time you can remain in this world will be extended by 24 hours. At the same time, you can choose your own death." It doesn't sound very interesting. But since I have nothing to do now, I seriously discussed with the system. Which dramatic way should I choose to die tomorrow? Arson, jumping off a building, drowning? Since tonight, the system's voice had become especially gentle. "You are just leaving the current world, and I will help you eliminate the sensation of pain." I hummed, casually opening my phone, browsing social media one last time. The latest post was by Amy's best friend. A photo of a sports car, accompanied by 2 short lines. "Haven't seen her racing a car in the city center for a long time." The power of first love is truly extraordinary. Amy's family had deep roots, with businesses spread across the country. She grew up spoiled, getting whatever she wanted. Her friends were mostly from wealthy families, spending money like water, buying luxury items without restraint. Designer bags and luxury cars piled up. To seek excitement, a few young ladies who grew up together even established a club specializing in challenging extreme sports, such as racing, surfing, or skydiving. After being with me, Amy rarely participated in these activities anymore, but occasionally still went off-road racing. Until a few years ago, she had an accident, crashing into a guardrail. Half of her body was covered in blood, and she had to stay in the hospital for half a month. She was scolded severely by her grandfather before completely giving it up. "She started racing again?" I was a little confused, asking the system. "It's not racing. It's Tom suddenly having a heart attack. She's driving him to the hospital. Not only did she run red lights repeatedly, but she was also severely speeding. This is the city center. I frowned. If something really happens, she won't be the only one injured. It will also involve others. A few minutes later, some of Amy's and my mutual friends started commenting under the post. Is Amy crazy? Didn't she say she was preparing to become Kevin's wife? What the hell is driving around and racing for? Ha ha ha, big brother, get updated on the information. Tom is back in the country, Amy can't marry Kevin anymore. Speak clearly and cleanly. Not to mention the proposal. Driving recklessly in the city center is also very wrong. That's right, how dangerous. What if she hits someone else? Doesn't Amy remember the time grandfather beat her with a belt? She was severely speeding. This person should learn her lesson. I hummed. All right then. I called the system back. Where is Amy now? She took Tom to the hospital. Now she's rushing to drive to buy medicine for him. That's good. I've figured out how to leave this world. I twisted the ring on my finger. Instead of having something real happen and hitting someone else, I'd rather see what kind of expression she reveals when she realizes that because of her first love, she personally pushed me into the abyss. Amy's current location is not far from me. This is what the system told me. At first, I didn't react quickly, but then I understood. I laughed self-deprecatingly. I was too sentimental. It was just because near this villa there was one of the largest chains of specialized pharmacies in the north, where many rare or limited medicines could be found. Before, when I had a stomach ache, Amy would wake up in the middle of the night, go out to buy medicine for me. Then she would stay up all night, sitting on a small stool in the kitchen, holding a fan and carefully fanning the medicinal herbs while brewing them. She was always like that, whoever she was good to. She cherished them in the palm of her hand, always thinking of them, afraid that I would suffer even a little pain. It was precisely because there was such an intimate period that when love ended, it became even clearer. The system asked me if I wanted to go see. I nodded. Of course, this is the final farewell. There was only one main road leading to the pharmacy. I put on a coat and left the house. A few hundred meters away was a mandatory intersection to cross. It was around 8 or 9 in the evening now. In winter, it gets dark quickly. Night had already fallen. The streetlights behind me turned on, emitting a pale yellow glow. I stood beneath them. A few butterflies happened to fly past in front of my eyes. In that moment, I actually had a slight hesitation. Should I still involve Amy? There were only 3 or 4 hours left until 12 o'clock. I could take advantage of this time to watch a movie, listen to the songs I wanted to hear, or walk along the beach and pick up some shells. All of which would be considered the last beautiful memories I left in this world. Kevin. It was the system's voice. This time, it rarely didn't call me, host, but called my name. I answered, then instinctively looked up. Blinding light. From a distance, a silver sports car was speeding towards me. It was Amy's car. The speed was too fast. I raised my hand to shield my eyes, the headlights almost blinded me. Are you sure? Yes. Because I saw a little girl with a backpack just preparing to cross the street. The light was too bright, it took me a few seconds to recognize the girl on the road. She had a ponytail, wearing the uniform of the nearby elementary school. Looking about first or second grade. Small, wearing oversized earmuffs. She was holding a phone, talking to someone, I don't know who. Her fingers were still typing, a smile on her face. Completely oblivious to what was happening around her. Even if Amy noticed the child, at her current driving speed, emergency braking might not be enough. The enormous inertia would throw the opponent away, causing a horrific consequence afterward. In that moment, I hardly thought at all. Get out of the way. I ran, and then my body suddenly lunged forward. A scream, ah, echoed in my ears. The little girl in the uniform was probably pushed away by me. She fell to the ground, crawled forward a few steps, then staggered up and turned back. Brother, help me. So much blood, she hit someone. Ah. The system didn't lie to me. It eliminated my sensation of pain. Therefore, the moment the car ran over me, I didn't have any superfluous feeling. Only hearing a few strange collision sounds, and the crunching of bones. This feeling was certainly not pleasant. But fortunately, The system quickly separated my entire consciousness from the body. I stood suspended in the air, looking down from a distance at everything happening below. The little girl was probably scared. She trembled, frantically looking for her phone to call for emergency help. I suddenly felt that what I did was actually worth it. I had to die anyway, and I could save a life. Amy sitting in the car must have realized that something was wrong. She slammed on the brakes. But the sports car still drove forward a few hundred more meters before finally stopping. What happened? I don't know. Perhaps because I was no longer bound to the body. At this moment, even with the car door tightly closed, and through the car window, I could still clearly hear what she said. She looked slightly flustered, pulling the car door with one hand, asking herself in a low voice, "Did I hit someone? Crazy, no way?" She didn't even see clearly the moment I lunged forward. I laughed bitterly and shook my head. I was even a little expectant, waiting to see what Amy would do when she got out of the car and saw that the person lying on the ground was me. But the next second, I was ultimately disappointed. The phone in the car rang. It was Tom calling. The other party's voice sounded weak. "Amy, when will you arrive? I'm feeling uncomfortable." The system told me. Tom returned to the country because he also wanted to try the effect of the special drug-assisted therapy. He had just undergone surgery abroad. And yesterday he had a consultation with a cardiologist. Treatment. The hospital gave a long list of things to note. And the types of medicine needed. A few types of medicine were urgently needed. Fortunately, this city has one of the largest chains of specialized pharmacies in the country. Therefore, Amy drove almost non-stop to the other end of the city. The doctor said it would be best if he could take the medicine today. Combined with the previous surgery, the effect of the first course of treatment would be better. From here to the pharmacy to get the medicine, brew the medicine, and then rush back to the hospital. The special medicine also has a brewing process. 3 hours could be said to be very tight. Amy's hand on the car door trembled, then she let go. On the other side was Tom's voice. "Amy, you'll come back, right?" "Of course." She put her hand back on the steering wheel, speaking softly through the phone. "Tom, don't worry. You will be able to take your medicine on time." She didn't even bother to get out of the car and take a look. She hit someone, didn't she? If at first, she could barely be excused as an accident, now it was blatant criminality. I took a deep breath and exhaled slowly, staring at Amy sitting in the car. I truly wanted to slap her twice. However, I couldn't do anything. I could only watch her press the gas pedal, as if everything was just an illusion, and drive away. I thought I would stay put. But unexpectedly, I was now sitting in the sports car, my consciousness following Amy. Since you're no longer bound by the body anyway. Seeing what else she can do. Isn't it more interesting? The system probably noticed my confusion and stammered. It was the first time I heard its voice so blunt, and even carrying a hint of ridicule. It must have been quite annoyed too. I couldn't help but let out a light laugh. I sighed. Now I genuinely feel a little regretful. There were clearly a few hours left in the day, yet the chance was lost. After a moment, the system replied to me. The initial setup was, if you could be taken to the hospital within these few hours, there was still hope for survival. If you woke up, your consciousness might not necessarily be unable to return. I said nothing. It even took me a moment to understand what it meant. I subconsciously turned my head to look. In the dark night, the body lying in the middle of the road was no longer visible. There were actually still signs of life? I thought so. Until Amy interrupted my thoughts. She picked up the phone again and called someone else. "Zoe, something happened to me here. Can you help me go check it out? It's the intersection after Monday Road. I was texting just now, and didn't see the situation ahead. I keep feeling like I hit something. It's a bit noisy a few hundred meters behind. Sounds like crying. I don't know if I misheard. Go check if I hit anyone. Help me take the person to the hospital, and compensate them." I had heard the name Zoe before. She was apparently her distant cousin. Amy's parents divorced very early. A few months later, her father remarried. Her stepmother even got pregnant and gave birth to a son. It was also because of this that Amy was somewhat rebellious in her youth. Unruly, causing trouble. Most of the friends she made were not very decent either. Zoe was one of them. She didn't get into university, going out to work very early. Although she was not academically inclined, her emotional intelligence was very high. Her social network was messy, knowing one person after another. Once, Amy even handed over a small-scale subsidiary company to her to manage for a while. I frowned. Are these two still in contact now? I thought Amy had cut ties with Zoe a long time ago. When Zoe held that small management position at the subsidiary for a few months, I accidentally discovered that the company's cash flow was very abnormal, seeming to be involved in some unclean business activities. After I exposed this, she no longer had a place in the company. Zoe hated me a lot at that time. The day she left, she pointed at my nose and swore, "Kevin, don't think you're so great just because you're Amy's boyfriend. She doesn't like you either. Sooner or later, she'll dump you. You won't even know how you'll die later. Or who will pick up your corpse." How ridiculous. At the time, I just thought she was talking nonsense, speaking recklessly. Unexpectedly, it came true. And she would let this uneducated younger cousin pick up my corpse. The system comforted me. "Host, maybe Zoe can take you to the hospital." I shook my head. I only hated myself for not seeing people clearly. Amy dragged things out with the childhood sweetheart she grew up with, made friends with people with bad personalities, and used dishonest means. And yet I still harbored a bit of hope for her. How foolish. Amy didn't seem to realize the severity of the problem. Or perhaps the little girl's few cries confused her, making her think that the person knocked down on the ground had gotten up and cried out a few times. So, she continued to instruct. "If they need to go to the hospital for a checkup, take them. All expenses will be covered by us. Call and let me know when it's settled. Oh, don't I also have to praise her as a great philanthropist?" My eyes almost rolled into the back of my head. I didn't want to listen anymore. I tilted my head, closed my eyes, leaned back, and cleared my mind. In my current state, I could even fall asleep. However, I only slept for a little over 2 hours. Amy's efficiency was indeed quite high. She took the prescription to get the medicine, then returned to the hospital. She handed the supplies to the attending doctor. "Is it in time?" she asked anxiously. "It's not yet 12 o'clock. Now that the medicine is prepared and taken, Tom's condition will be alleviated, right? What's all this about 12 o'clock and not 12 o'clock? The doctor glanced at her. "It's not an exam or a race. Why is there a deadline?" I only said to quickly find where the medicine could be bought. I didn't say it absolutely had to be obtained today. His illness has been going on for so long. Could there really be a problem just because he missed one day of the new medicine? The doctor's tone was like talking to an uneducated person. My soul, which was yawning in the back, immediately woke up, letting out a PFFT of laughter. That's right. I've only heard that critically ill patients in the ICU have to race against every second. I've never seen someone buying medicine have to race against the clock. Amy had been spoiled since childhood, rarely scolded. After hearing what the doctor said, her face became slightly gloomy, not looking very well. After a moment, she moved her feet and walked towards the inpatient area. She gently pushed open the door of the patient room. Hearing the sound, the man sitting on the hospital bed looked up. He was wearing blue patient clothes. His skin was pale, and his face was haggard. "Amy, you're back?" I remember, this seemed to be the first time I saw Tom in person. Before, I actually often saw his pictures in Amy's high school graduation yearbook, in a thick stack of her childhood photos, and even in her phone's photo album. The folder marked with a pink heart was stored. In the pictures, he was in his teens, and the Tom now was much more mature. Tom flipped through the magazine in his hand, seemingly casually mentioning, "Did you get the medicine?" Amy responded indifferently, sitting down on the chair next to the bed. This cold attitude probably made Tom a little unaccustomed. He reached out his hand, seemingly inadvertently touching Amy's arm. "What, are you tired?" Amy still said nothing, but took out her phone and started browsing the web. I tilted my head. That's strange. Just now on the road, she was driving the sports car straight ahead. Wasn't she very energetic? Why is she putting on a cold, aloof face now? The atmosphere in the patient room even became a little awkward for a moment, until Tom finished flipping the last page of the magazine. He placed the book on the bedside table, then brought up the topic again. "I'm about to become a shadow." Now I can't leave these bottles and jars at all. Amy finally raised her head. Really? She interrupted Tom. But I just saw the doctor. The doctor said your condition has actually always been quite stable. When to transfer hospitals or take medicine doesn't affect things too much. Tom, you should know that. I actually had a very important matter yesterday. Amy's tone was rare and low. The night penetrated through the glass window. The white light from the ceiling lamps emitted a somewhat gloomy glow. At this time, half of her body was submerged in shadow, her whole being indistinct, making it impossible for people to see her thoughts clearly. Tom was silent. Why are you suddenly talking about these things? He opened his mouth, raising his voice. I know. Your boyfriend is about to propose to you. Amy is getting married. Of course, you don't need the brother who grew up with you anymore, right? Okay, even if you have deep feelings for him. But an entire day has passed now. Did he contact you? This lunatic. The one who broke the promise was her. Amy, not me. I waited for her for a long time in the villa. And received countless sympathetic looks from friends. Why would I take the initiative to go find her? But Amy seemed truly stunned by what he said. She lowered her head, her lips pressed into a thin line. Her left hand gripped her phone tightly. Tom continued to ramble. Look, Kevin basically doesn't value you that much. Someone who loved you would definitely have called to check on you. Someone who doesn't love you would be so indifferent. Maybe Kevin is even hoping you won't agree to his proposal. It's possible he has better ideas. Right now, maybe he's already with another woman, soaring together. Amy, don't get too deeply involved. Stop talking. Amy suddenly stood up. She let out a long breath, revealing a look of slight disgust. You rest well. I'm going out to sit for a while. She staggered 2 steps before standing firm, picking up her coat and walking out of the patient room. My soul also shambled along behind her. At this moment, Amy's expression was a little melancholic. She leaned against the wall, picking up her phone to browse again. I curiously leaned close, and found she was on the interface of the last chat between me and her before the proposal. I asked her if she was nervous, if she was happy. She replied to me with several messages in a row. Of course I'm nervous, you fool. But I'm even more happy and excited. Hee. We still have to prepare for the wedding later. Wah, I love you so much. Can't sleep now. I looked at Amy in front of me and couldn't help but wonder. Were the words she typed out at that time sincere? These words felt like an untouchable dream. Amy's finger rested on the chat frame, typing a few words and then deleting them. After going back and forth for a long time, she finally typed out a complete sentence. Kevin, why didn't you call me? I was busy yesterday. I'll apologize to you when I get back. I let out a cold snort. Apology. A late apology is unwanted. But before the message could be sent, the phone rang first. It was my close friend Brian calling. After that ridiculous failed proposal, I hadn't seen Brian again. In the phone, his voice was urgent and angry. Amy, where is Kevin now? I can't contact him anymore. If anything happens to him, we won't let you get away with it. Amy frowned. Can't find Kevin? She even repeated the question. But I haven't seen him for the past 2 days. Do you still dare to lie? Brian was the school's debate team captain in college. Later even participating in national competitions and variety shows. Now he's a person with some reputation in his field. At this moment, his voice became even sharper. You haven't seen him? Right now, shouldn't the two of you be sweetly meeting the family? Or planning a trip somewhere? No, I forgot. You and that other woman, childhood sweetheart, are together. How could you possibly remember Kevin? I truly want to vomit. Amy was scolded so harshly. She immediately clenched the phone in her hand. She took a few deep breaths, and her voice wasn't good. I don't want to argue with you. But Kevin hasn't called me yet. I even wanted to ask if he was with you. She probably recalled Tom's words in the patient room just now. So she added a sentence. If Kevin truly valued the proposal ceremony, wouldn't he have at least a word of accusation by now? Amy, is your head filled with rocks? Brian often liked to scold people with sarcasm. This time, he must have been infuriated, spitting out a barrage of words directly. Unfortunately, he was cut off by Amy hanging up before he could finish. I looked at Amy with a bit of sympathy. Why is she so foolish at such a young age? Is this an early sign of Alzheimer's? She sat on the hospital bench, slowly bending over. Her phone screen stopped again at the recent chat interface between me and her. Her finger rested on the dialog box, hesitating for a moment. As if to retaliate, she deleted what she had just typed word by word. I sneered. She thought I was still alive, and would be heartbroken because she was with Tom. Even jealous, or envious. Amy leaned against the wall behind her, put on her coat, and closed her eyes. She was probably genuinely tired. She quickly fell asleep. It was already past midnight. Even including the 24 hours extension granted to me, the time was up. I called out the system and asked. At this moment, I should have completely lost all signs of life, right? What did that Zoe do with my body? Can you check for me? I didn't believe that someone like Zoe would truly obediently take me to the hospital. Therefore, what happened afterward was like a stone weighing down on my heart. The system was also not. It was a unique existence transcending this world. After hearing my question, it didn't answer directly, but decisively adjusted to a frame. In it, I could clearly see everything that happened afterward. The little girl I saved had probably called her parents. A few minutes later, her parents arrived. I thought they would wait for a while, until the police arrived at the scene to handle the matter before leaving. But they directly took their child and left. I patiently continued watching. Next was Zoe's car. She drove a not-so-cheap branded car, stopping at the intersection. After getting out of the car, she quickly discovered the person who was left behind. That bitch Amy actually caused an accident. She seemed to think this was just a trivial matter. Slowly walked 2 steps, half knelt down, and lifted my body to turn it over. In a flash, she remained in that posture without moving. I even thought the system might have frozen. But then, I heard her not-so-pleasant scream. Kevin. Damn it, why is it Kevin? Who would believe it? The lover who swore an oath to be together forever just a few days ago is now harmed by one of them, with life and death unknown? How could that be? Was Amy mistaken about something? Didn't she determinedly say she would marry him? Saying something about living together until 100 years old? Zoe was still screaming, taking out her phone, seemingly wanting to call Amy to confirm again. At this moment, my hand moved slightly. It gently flipped upwards, as if striking her high-heeled shoe. The system's voice urgently sounded. This is just a nerve reflex before death. It's due to brain atrophy leading to limb spasms. I hummed. In fact, there was no great shock. Zoe, however, was startled. She fell backward, almost falling over. Not dead. Kevin is not dead yet. She reached out her hand, pinching my neck. The weak pulse in the artery made her breathing heavier, and further confirmed the current situation she was facing. For a moment, even I was curious. Faced with a seriously injured person, whose consciousness was completely gone, what would Zoe do? Would she ignore me, or would she save my life? Very quickly, I discovered that from such an immoral person, I couldn't demand too much. Zoe not only didn't take me to the hospital, her hand placed on my neck even gradually tightened, becoming stronger and stronger. The scene was so clear. In reality, the air around me seemed to be continuously sucked away. I couldn't help but cough twice. Is it because I drove this person out of the company? That she hates me so much? The system cut off the playback, sighing with me. That's right. So you weren't taken to the hospital. You weren't treated. You still died, Kevin. I was clear. Although I seemed to have died at Zoe's hands, the root cause was still Amy. It was she who missed the proposal. It was she who hit me. And it was also she who called Zoe. I looked at the young woman leaning on the corridor bench. She frowned slightly, seemingly sleeping restlessly. She was also mumbling something in her mouth. I leaned closer to listen, and found she was calling my name again. Kevin, don't be angry anymore. Let's redo the proposal once more, okay? Even the system, hearing such nonsensical words, let out a cack. Who is she trying to make things difficult for? That's right. If Amy truly cared, would she still be able to sleep now? Perhaps my silent thoughts came true a little. Not long after, as dawn broke, Amy's phone rang once more. In the quiet and empty hospital corridor. It was especially sudden. She jumped up and pressed the answer button. Kevin, are you home? Of course, it wouldn't be me. It was a close friend who grew up with her. What, Kevin? Go look at the news quickly. Brian posted about you. Do you know you're on the hot search now, Amy? The hot search headline was a line of text like this. Famous tycoon daughter plays with fiancé, causing other party to go missing. I read it over several times. This surely wasn't what Brian came up with. The post Brian published on his newsfeed was quite concise. Other woman interferes, friend betrayed by fiancé's affection. Currently missing, police have been notified but still can't be reached. Friends are all worried about his safety. Attached was a photo of the iconic building of Amy's family company, located right in the city center. This was equivalent to explicitly naming the young lady in the sentence as Amy. The popularity immediately soared. Brian's fans, curious onlookers, and even public opinion hired by Amy's family competitors in the business world all flocked in. The comments below were chaotic. Notify the police? What's the use of posting something like this online for judgment? The most important thing is to find the person first. Didn't it say the police were already notified? This girl is truly disgusting. Abandoning someone at their proposal ceremony. Who wouldn't be humiliated? I suggest everyone boycott her family's products from now on. Zoe was still screaming, taking out her phone, seemingly wanting to call Amy to reconfirm. At this moment, my hand moved a little. It gently flipped upwards, as if hitting her high-heeled shoe. The system's voice hurriedly sounded. This is just a nerve reflex before death. It's due to brain atrophy leading to limb spasms. I hummed. In fact, there was no great shock. Zoe, however, was startled. Her whole body arched backward, nearly falling. Not dead. Kevin is not dead yet. She reached out her hand, pinching my neck. The faint pulse in the artery made her breathing heavier, and further confirmed the current situation she was facing. For a moment, even I was curious. Faced with a seriously injured person, whose consciousness was completely gone, what would Zoe do? Would she ignore me, or would she save my life? Very quickly, I discovered that from such an immoral person, I couldn't demand too much. Zoe not only didn't take me to the hospital, her hand placed on my neck even gradually tightened, becoming stronger and stronger. The scene was so clear. In reality, the air around me seemed to be continuously sucked away. I couldn't help but cough twice. Is it because I drove this person out of the company? That she hates me so much? The system cut off the playback, sighing with me. That's right. So you weren't taken to the hospital. You weren't treated. You still died, Kevin. I was clear. Although I seemed to have died at Zoe's hands, the fundamental cause was still Amy. It was she who missed the proposal. It was she who hit me. And it was also she who called Zoe. I looked at the young woman leaning on the corridor bench. She frowned slightly, seemingly sleeping restlessly. In her mouth, she also mumbled something. I leaned closer to listen, and found she was calling my name again. Kevin, don't be angry anymore. Let's redo the proposal once more, okay? Even the system, hearing such nonsensical words, let out a cack. Who is she trying to make things difficult for? That's right. If Amy truly cared, could she still be sleeping now? Perhaps my silent thoughts came true a little. Not long after, as dawn broke, Amy's phone rang once more. In the quiet and empty hospital corridor, it became particularly sudden. She jumped up, pressing the answer button. Kevin, are you home? Of course, it wouldn't be me. It was a close friend who grew up with her. What, Kevin? Go look at the news quickly. Brian posted about you. Do you know you're on the hot search now, Amy? The hot search headline was a line of text like this. Famous tycoon daughter plays with fiancé, causing other party to go missing. I read it over several times. This surely wasn't what Brian came up with. The post Brian published on his newsfeed was quite concise. Other woman interferes, friend betrayed by fiancé's affection. Currently missing, police have been notified but still can't be reached. Friends are all worried about his safety. Attached was a photo of the iconic building of Amy's family company, located right in the city center. This was equivalent to explicitly naming the young lady in the sentence as Amy. The popularity immediately soared. Brian's fans, curious onlookers, and even public opinion hired by Amy's family competitors in the business world all flocked in. The comments below were chaotic. Notify the police? What's the use of posting something like this online for judgment? The most important thing is to find the person first. Didn't it say the police were already notified? This girl is truly disgusting. Abandoning someone at their proposal ceremony. Who wouldn't be humiliated? I suggest everyone boycott her family's products from now on. Normally, when these two met, there was always a tense atmosphere. Either giving the cold shoulder or arguing. This time, Brian used all his strength, slapping Amy hard across the face, until the police stopped him. And Amy stood still, without moving. You filthy, shameless, damnable murderer. That other woman of yours is just like you. Would you die if you didn't see her? But Kevin died because of you. Do you have any conscience? You should go down to the 18th level of hell right now. Towards the end, Brian's voice was filled with sobs. He didn't even care about the police restraining him, trying to rush forward and strangle Amy. Amy lowered her head. Her voice was muffled. Yes, I should pay with my life for him. Pay with your life? Brian's hand, suspended in midair, slowly dropped. He stared at her intensely. How can you die so easily? I will find the best team of lawyers to make you sit in prison for the rest of your life. Then arrange for you to have fierce, violent cellmates. For someone as heartless as you. To make you suffer torment for the rest of your life. After the incident ended, the system and I had a long conversation. It asked me if I wanted to return to my original world. My feelings about the real world were not very good. Although I had parents, my father was a drunk and gambler who frequently committed domestic violence, while my mother only endured it. So, if I were told to go back, I really didn't want to. The system paused for a moment, seemingly searching for data. I frowned and thought for a while. Can you give me a different identity? In this world, apart from Amy, I still feel a little attached to my other friends. After my insistent pleading, the system requested permission from its superiors, and actually redesigned a new identity for me. I was allowed to stay where I used to live, since I majored in journalism in college before. This time the character's profession was a reporter. On the first day I reported to the newsroom. A bunch of people wandered in front of me with water cups. Just when I thought there was nothing for me to do, the section chief came up to me and, thump, threw a few newspapers on the table. Does the newcomer know what the hottest news is right now? Read the materials carefully. You're going to be very busy in a few days. I picked up the newspaper. The bold headline stood out. Amy likely to face life imprisonment. Amy's family and corporation involved in tax evasion and money laundering. Stock trading suspended. Her father publicly criticized his eldest daughter to the media, announcing that the heir has always been the youngest son. I frowned, turning the pages little by little. Only then did I know that the reason Zoe hated me so much was because the small subsidiary company she managed happened to be in charge of some unclean business activities under Amy's wing. In just half a year, it had earned more than 10 times the normal profit. But in the end, I ruined it, and she was driven out. Tom's recent situation was also not good. His previous treatment costs were largely covered by Amy. Now that Amy was in prison, he barely managed to keep his life. On social media, the insults against Amy were overwhelming. They not only wanted her to go bankrupt and compensate with money but also wanted her to pay with her life. What's the point of living for people like this? It's a waste of air. Killed her future husband. And also evaded taxes. With so many crimes, I wonder if she can get the death penalty? I scrolled through the news for a while, my head spinning. Just as the section chief walked by, he glanced at me. Are the materials sorted out? I hummed, suddenly remembering something, and asked. The lawyer suing Amy is. You can still think about this? The section chief rarely smiled. This kind of public prosecution case is usually handled by appointed lawyers. But I heard the deceased's close friend found someone. The litigation team is very strong. There are also people outside saying Amy will be imprisoned for life. It probably won't be easy for her. I'm afraid there are people who want to target her in prison too. It's Brian, right? I lowered my head, not answering anymore. The section chief looked at me, placed his cup on the table, and suddenly said, in a few days, our newspaper got an opportunity. We can have an exclusive interview with Amy. You come with me. On the day of the interview, the section chief was late due to an engagement. I went in alone and waited for a while. The correctional officer brought Amy out. Through the thin metal bars, she looked much thinner. Her face was haggard, with thick dark circles prominent. Do I really have to do an interview? Amy sat down, her voice tired. Do you want to strip away even this little right? You have no rights. The person next to her spoke coldly. I opened the interview notebook that the section chief had prepared. On it were some pre-written questions. Was it intentional murder? Did you argue with the victim Kevin before that day? What was the relationship between the two of you exactly? Amy kept her head down, not saying a word. She seemed too tired of such interviews, and had resolved to remain silent. The system had given me a different face. I wore glasses, transformed into the image of a serious, cold office worker. Amy couldn't recognize me. So, I simply put down the prepared notebook and spoke casually. I know it wasn't intentional murder. Kevin was trying to save a little girl. On the day the police arrested you, that little girl's family also came. The police didn't disclose the matter about the little girl. After they hugged their child and left, they went to the hospital for a comprehensive checkup first. The call to the police was only made afterward. There was still no sound from the opposite side. But Amy finally raised her head. She looked at me hesitantly. Perhaps she thought I was a reporter who had connections with the police and possessed quite a bit of internal news. I continued. Arguing about this now is useless. After all, you are the one who didn't say a word. You directly abandoned him to go find Tom. Amy clenched her hands, staring intently at me. Last question. I picked up the pen and asked Amy. Your mutual friends were notified in advance, coming to the villa to prepare for the celebration. Amy, I could never truly see through you. But I know Kevin truly loved you. He was alone at the proposal party. After everyone left, he waited for you alone. Until the last second of midnight. He would write in his diary about the future. About your life together. Dreams. And many small things you were unaware of. It's a pity you don't deserve him. You are the one who killed the person who loved you the most. I spoke these words in one breath, feeling there was nothing left worth staying here for. I picked up the notebook, intending to leave, but then heard a loud clang. Amy gripped the metal bars tightly, suddenly standing up. She stared at me without blinking. Her eye sockets were almost entirely bloodshot. She opened her mouth, her voice hoarse and trembling. Kevin, is that you? Coming back? I chuckled, turning my back to her. Amy, you must serve your time well in prison. Live in regret every day.